You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
They change the wire instructions at the last minute and it goes to the wrong party, or somebody will send a fake email from somebody saying to wire it somewhere and it gets captured that way.
Buying a home is one of the biggest purchases you'll make in your life, but you need to be wary of scams. What signs can you look for? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC7 at 7. We'll have more on real estate scams in a moment, but first, Hurricane Michael is picking up speed and strength as it heads for Florida's Panhandle. Let's head right over to ABC7's chief meteorologist, Bob Harrigan. First look forecast. Bob.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, indeed, Alan. It is now a major hurricane. Major hurricanes do considerable more damage than Category 1s and 2s. It is at 3, and it could get to Category 4 status before it makes landfall just after midday tomorrow in the Panhandle, specifically near Panama City, as a Category 3, but as I said, possibly a Category 4 hurricane. It's getting better organized, and notice these deep purples here. They're starting to go all the way around the eye, and this center is going to be moving over some very warm water. There's little shear on the western edge. You'll notice that pretty good semicircle there all the way around on the western edge. That means that westerly shear that had been there is no longer exist. And that means that we are going to see this potentially be a catastrophic storm up to Category 4 status as it makes landfall. Right now, the Hurricane Center is suggesting a Category 3, but hurricane forecast intensity is not very good in terms of getting it right most of the time. Now, it's going to be moving off to the north. There it is tomorrow at 2 a.m., 125-mile-an-hour winds, gaining a little bit of strength. Right now, the winds are at 120. And then right toward Panama City is a Category 3 storm with wind gusts up to 155 miles an hour. Goes right near Tallahassee, and to the right of the center, they could see hurricane force winds in Tallahassee. And then throughout Georgia, eventually off through South Carolina. It'll be moving pretty quickly, so we don't expect a lot of rainfall here, but still there could be some flooding concerns with some heavy rainfall. Rainfall amounts will not be excessive like we saw with Florence, but they could be as high as 10 inches in some areas. Now, as far as we're concerned, we're not expecting a lot of rainfall here. We are expecting the possibility of 1 to 2 inches, maybe some isolated areas getting up to 3. We've already had the storm surge, and I just checked the tide gauge. The storm surge continues to rise. It's at about 2.14 feet now above what it normally is, and that did cause some flooding of some of the roadways there and some secondary streets on Anna Maria. Also, Riverview Boulevard in Manatee County near 59th Street boat ramp, also underwater there as a result of the river rising, and it could get higher at around 1 o'clock in the morning. We have another high tide, and despite the fact that we're going into low tide, the actual storm surge continues to increase over the last hour or so. This is on Cortez Village. You can see that some of the roadways there also having some problems. A high tide at 108, as I mentioned, another high tide tomorrow, and we'll be having onshore flow will be at 228. Obviously, it's minor flooding right now, but still a little bit higher than anticipated in some cases across the area. Well, much more in our forecast. We are expecting scattered showers and storms. We're still under a tropical storm watch from Anna Maria northward through the Tampa Bay area. More a little bit later. Alan?
Thanks, Bob. Scientists are hopeful Hurricane Michael could be the relief we've been needing for red tide, but for now, they're still not sure how permanent that relief will be. Michael has already brought high tides, big waves, and strong winds to push the effects of the bloom offshore, but after the hurricane passes, most marine scientists say they could come back. Past hurricanes have both dispersed the blooms and made them worse, so scientists say it's hard to predict what will happen.
As the hurricane passes, the backside of it will be getting onshore winds. So if the red tide is still here, we will start to get the onshore aerosolized toxins. So that's one effect that the hurricane will have.
ABC7's Bob Harrigan predicts the storm will be good for red tide, comparing the toxins to pollution in the air that will be pushed away with strong winds and surf. Governor Rick Scott urging people who plan to evacuate to do so today as he continues to expand the activation of the Florida National Guard in advance of Hurricane Michael's landfall. Scott's main concern from the rapidly developing hurricane is storm surge, with the National Weather Service estimating it could reach between 8 and 12 feet between Indian Pass and Gulf Country and Cedar Key in LeVicon County.
Talking to county commissions. I've been, going around the state. I think people are taking it seriously. I think the thing that concerns me the most is the storm surge right now. But this, we all know this thing came up fast, and it wasn't like Irma where we had quite a bit of time to prepare.
Tolls have been lifted in northwest Florida to ease evacuation, and Scott says fuel distribution is being watched, though there have not been widespread fuel shortages or outages. Today is your last day to register to vote for the upcoming general election. In-person applications had to be submitted to a supervisor of elections office by 5 p.m., but you can still submit an online application before 11:59 p.m. tonight. The ballot will include statewide races for the U.S. Senate, governor, and 3 state cabinet offices, along with 12 proposed constitutional amendments, congressional, legislative, and local contests. And a reminder, ABC7 will be hosting the must-watch debate of the season. The race for Congress in the 16th Congressional District is one of the highest-profile races in the country. Both candidates, Republican Vern Buchanan and Democrat David Shapiro, will face off in their one and only debate Tuesday, October 23rd at the Trapezoid on ABC7 at 7. If you want to help me come up with the questions, just submit your ideas to me at Alan M. Cohn on Twitter. About a quarter of homeowners spend more than 30% of their incomes on the housing costs, making it one of the, if not the biggest purchases in someone's lifetime. As ABC7's Erica Jackson shows us, some scammers are targeting vulnerable homebuyers.
The IRS found real estate scams nearly doubled in the early 2000s, but that doesn't mean you need to fall victim.
This is one of the biggest decisions, one of the biggest purchases they're going to make in their entire life.
Real estate agent Andrew Haddad and his team at Keller Williams work with dozens of prospective homebuyers annually. After more than a decade in the business, he knows the process isn't all butterflies and rainbows for clients.
Best thing that we can do is be proactive in how we look at the process and take that process to the next level.
Sometimes scammers slip in between the cracks during that process, preying on naive homebuyers. IRS criminal investigators report they commonly see false statements during property flipping, fraudulent settlement statements reflecting the wrong piece of property, and fraudulent qualifications of buyers.
This is one of the largest purchases that people make in their life.
ABC7 consumer watchdog Jerry Zivick says most fraud starts when clients begin sending money electronically.
They change the wire instructions at the last minute and it goes to the wrong party, or somebody will send a fake email from somebody saying to wire it somewhere, and it gets captured that way.
If we're sending a deposit or a down payment electronically, we always want to follow up with that to make sure that we are sending it to the right place.
Before getting into the nitty-gritty of the home buying process, Zivick recommends hiring a legal expert.
You have to have the one person that's in your corner is a real estate attorney.
And before signing on that dotted line, make sure all questionable loose ends are listed in your contract, including repair documents and receipts.
You want to verify everything that's said. Do not trust anything.
As quickly as you may want to pack up all your belongings and get settled into that new home, ask questions and don't commit to your purchase unless you're 100% confident.
There may be some bumps in the road, but at the end of the day, what we really look forward to is seeing those families in their new home, starting that next chapter and moving forward, and that's our mission, moving families forward.
Scammers don't only target buyers, some sellers may fall victim as well. In some cases, multiple scammers target one home and point out flaws in order to bring down the selling price. Reporting in Sarasota County, Erica Jackson, ABC7, your Suncoast News.
In a moment, we have an all-star cast from the local real estate industry. The Trapezoid is next.
The body, it is a work of art and a powerful ally in the fight against cancer. A new approach called immunotherapy works by helping our immune system correctly identify and eradicate many types of cancer cells. Speak with your doctor and visit su2c.org/immunotherapy to learn more. Your body might just be your greatest hope.
Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP is the largest locally owned CPAP supply company in the area. Is it time to replace your old equipment? The staff at Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP can show you the most up-to-date CPAP equipment and supplies to meet your sleep apnea needs, including portable travel devices and the SoClean automatic CPAP sanitizer. We serve all of Southwest Florida, giving the highest quality of care with the finest CPAP equipment. Please visit our website, sarasotacpap.com.
I feel happiest when I'm out enjoying my favorite things, like spending time in my garden. That's why I need a Humana Medicare Advantage plan.
Many Humana Medicare Advantage plans cover everything from emergency care and hospital stays to doctor office visits and prescription drug coverage. In fact, last year, Humana Medicare Advantage prescription drug plan members saved an estimated $6,900 on average on their prescription costs. Humana has a large network of doctors and hospitals, plans that include vision and dental coverage, and most plans include Silver Sneakers Fitness and a rewards program, all for a $0 monthly plan premium in most areas.
Now I can be happy and healthy and keep enjoying all of my favorite things.
Your health and happiness is important to us. Call or go online now to get your free decision guide and see how a Humana Medicare Advantage plan can help keep you enjoying your favorite things.
Helping families with mesothelioma is all we do. My firm has been offering a free book on mesothelioma for over 10 years. Since that time, hundreds of people with mesothelioma have trusted us to represent them. We have local offices throughout the U.S. and there is no risk to you. Mesothelioma really is all we do.
Call us at 1-800-485-6000. That's 1-800-485-6000.
Or go to mesoonlylaw.com.
Recovery from mental and substance use disorders is real.
You can recover.
It's possible. It happens every day.
Never give up on yourself.
Discover hope and help.
The world is a beautiful place again.
Join the Voices for Recovery. For confidential information for mental and substance use disorders, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Get breaking news alerts focused on the Suncoast. Download the ABC7 News app.
Welcome back. The real estate market on the Suncoast is booming, and with that, so are real estate scams. According to the IRS, real estate scams have doubled since the 2000s began, and one of the most popular, wire fraud. Imagine putting down a payment on a new home and your hard-earned cash winds up in somebody else's bank account. Joining us for more are Laura Bowers, who works in the title department at Michael Saunders and Company, Michael Bamig, a realtor at Michael Saunders, and Rebecca Guilfoyle, a realtor at Veterans Realty. Mark, I meant to say there. Laura, let me start with you because you work in the title department, so you see this a lot in terms of wire fraud. What exactly are we talking about here?
Well, we're talking about, we have a lot of parties involved to the transaction that could possibly be infiltrated by scammers out there. What we most often see are buyers and sellers' emails being compromised. The scammers will watch to see what's going on, and then they will send an email out that looks like it's coming from the title company, instructing the buyer to wire funds to a specific account.
How are the emails compromised?
There are various ways that they compromise. There are phishing attacks. So someone clicks on a link, they spoof. What they do is they set up an email account that looks very similar to mine, but they might add an extra L to it.
So that's kind of like what happened in the Russia investigation with Podesta's emails, that he got an email that looked legit, pushed the wrong button, and there we go, Hillary Clinton's emails all over the place. Mark, how have you seen this play out?
Well, first of all, what we try and do is educate the consumer right off the bat. We now have a separate wire fraud form that we put into every transaction that we want the buyer and the seller to sign. But we've seen this happen when we get a call from someone that says, hey, I just got an email that says they're changing their wiring instructions, and we're saying, we haven't changed anything, don't do it. So like Laura said, they can put a dot somewhere in the email and it looks exactly like it came from somebody that's in the transaction, and it really hasn't. It's come from a third party trying to get the money, and once it's wired, it's very difficult to get it back.
And Rebecca, I can imagine this has devastating impacts on the victims and also maybe the sellers, because they thought they had the deal and they did not.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of times people will pack everything up. You have to have it completely vacant, ready to go, U-Hauls, boxes, everything done, cleaned and wiped out, and then there's no transaction. Buyers lost all of their money, and there's really nothing to do about it. There's no money, there's no transaction. So
what's the recourse?
Well, I could tell you one tip is to, the recourse is to actually contact the bank immediately as soon as it's discovered, and then file a report with the local FBI office immediately.
That doesn't get your money back, though, immediately.
It can in some cases. If you report it within less than 24 hours, the chances are very good that you can recover the money.
Okay, we have to take a quick break. Our conversation on real estate scams continues right after we get a check on the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Alan, so far the big part of the story has been the storm surge, and we haven't had a lot of rainfall. We had a few brief showers just about 15 minutes ago move through Lakewood Ranch, but it's been the storm surge. It's about a 2-foot storm surge right now, a little bit above that. I just checked the tide gauge once again, and it's slowly dropping. Now we're getting into low tide, so all the levels are starting to go down, but the separation between what it's supposed to be and where it's at is at about 2.14 feet again, and we have these high king tides, they're called. That means tides, even normal high tides, are running a little bit higher than average, up to 2 feet. Now you can see those waves are still pretty big out there. They'll only get bigger as we'll start to see some onshore flow. Once the storm center gets past north of our latitude, we'll see those winds whip around more to a southwesterly direction. And we're seeing some pretty good convection developing right around the center of the storm. Indications are that the pressures have been falling rather significantly over the past 2 hours now. And it usually takes a couple of hours for the winds to actually catch up to those big pressure drops. And so you have an increase in wind speed. I wouldn't be surprised to see the winds going up here over the next 12 hours. As far as photos go, there's been a lot sent in of some of the secondary roadways on Anna Maria Island actually flooding as a result of the storm surge. It's moving to the north at 12. The pressure has fallen now down to 957 millibars, which is pretty low, and the gusts up to 150. Now we expect it to get up to 125 mile-an-hour winds by as early as Wednesday morning, and making landfall with wind gusts up to 155. Even as it goes by Tallahassee, I don't think it'll be a 3, but more than likely 100 mile-an-hour winds sent out of the question there into Tallahassee and then into southwest Georgia as a tropical storm. And then over the Carolinas, still bringing some heavy rainfall there, but still causing power outages as far north as South Carolina, where there are now new advisories in effect along the coastline there into South Carolina and North Carolina. Rainfall amounts. Now the rainfall will start to pile up a little bit more so, I think, on Wednesday morning and Wednesday afternoon. We see the rainfall scale there. In some areas, the purple showing up 2.5 inches, not necessarily right there in Inglewood, but that just shows you that some isolated areas will see about 2.5 inches of rain. We can handle that. It's not a big deal. But we will also see still some minor coastal flooding, especially around high tide, which is just shortly after 1 o'clock. I mentioned those brief showers that have been moving through. That one right there produced winds up to nearly 45 miles an hour. Just a little bit of a activity moving through Pinellas County and into the Gulf of Mexico now. And then one brief shower has popped up recently into Lakewood Ranch. And that's what we're going to see tonight and during the morning hours. So periods of isolated showers and some banding features kind of moving on through during the morning hours on Wednesday. And once in a while, these will have a tendency to drop down a small isolated tornado, mainly to the north of us. I think a better chance of that happening, but not out of the question here along the west coast of Florida here in the Sun Coast as well to see an isolated tornado. But look at this band right here. This is a pretty significant feeder band starting to work its way through Naples and in toward Fort Myers now. This is going to kind of pinwheel right on into the Sun Coast. That'll be here sometime after 10, 11 o'clock tonight. Well, we have the center right there. This is the forecast going right toward, looks like Panama City, making landfall sometime around noon tomorrow as a Category 3 storm, which could be a little higher than that, and then making its way through Georgia, obviously bringing heavy rainfall. We'll still see those onshore showers throughout the day on Wednesday, even into Thursday morning. This is a little unusual. Not since 1950 have we had 3 named storms this late in the season, and we do. We have obviously Michael, a major hurricane, the second major hurricane of the season. We have Leslie out there, which has been around for over 2 weeks, just spinning through the Atlantic, and then Nadine out there in the Atlantic. So the season not quite over yet. We still have over a month and a couple of weeks to go before the official end. Well, here's the forecast and an 80% chance for scattered showers and a few thunderstorms throughout the day on Wednesday. And then it still stays high Thursday morning. The weekend, though, is looking good. By the way, those winds will switch back to an easterly direction. Good news for red tide over the weekend. Al will be back with his guests right after this. Stick around.
Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Make your holidays sparkle with style. Browse our amazing showroom, cute collectible cottages, and beautiful Christmas displays. Find the inspiration, selection, and quality you need to deck the halls merry and bright. Christmas Traditions also features the area's largest selection of quality pre-lit Christmas trees, every size, shape, and color, and plenty of decorations to make your home shine for the holidays. Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Visit us on New 301, just a quarter-mile north of University Parkway.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
Addiction is a dark place, but just as each new day breaks, there is light. A light that illuminates the people by your side. Out of the darkness, you are walking with 22 million others struggling with addiction. The cure to darkness is light. The cure to stigma is love. And the cure to disease is treatment. Join us as we walk into the dawn of the new day. Together, we are stronger than addiction. Learn more at chatterproof.org.
Welcome back. We are talking about real estate scams, and joining us for more are Laura Bowers, who works in the title department at Michael Saunders & Company, Mark Bomig, a realtor at Michael Saunders, and Rebecca Guilfoyle, a realtor at Veterans Realty. And so let's talk about issues that come up in terms of rentals. And this is something, Mark, that has been going on for years, and it's incredible that we have not yet gotten a handle on. Explain.
It's very difficult. I actually had a listing near our office off of Manatee Avenue, and I got calls from people wanting to know where to make the deposit for a rental, and I told them it wasn't for rent, and it was advertised on Craigslist with photos from the MLS posing as a rental. And what they do is they drop the price way below the market to get an interest, and if it's too good to be true, it usually is. So luckily they called the sign that was in the front yard, and I've even had them remove the sign in the front yard. So it's very difficult when they post something on Craigslist because you have no way to really track it, and then the client or the potential renter is wanting to make a deposit, and the scammer is wanting them to send them a deposit because it's a hot property and all these people are interested in it.
And Rebecca, you've said that you've seen this all the time, and sometimes you could tell by the pixels in the picture.
It'll usually be pixelated because when you take a photo that's a year or so old and you drag it to your computer and you upload it again, it'll lose a lot of the clarity. So the pictures will usually be a little hazy. The words that they'll use is, I'm sorry, I got a job promotion, I'm out of the area, you can look at the property, just send me a check. you know, it usually is way too good to be true, especially for renters who are, you know, small families looking for things, and it's usually the least expensive with the most bang for your buck. And you're going, how is this real? All of my buyers who are wanting to rent one more year just to save up a little bit more, I always go with them and look at these properties. And I've experienced where there will be a lockbox on the property belonging to another company actually renting the property. But a scammer will come and take a copy of the key, make a copy of the key, put their own lockbox on it, put their own sign in the yard, and create a fake account online.
And Laura, we only have a couple of seconds left here, but this is awful hard for law enforcement to investigate.
Absolutely. Very difficult.
And I would imagine that, I mean, there's so many cases like this, they get overwhelmed. I know I have a friend who's a detective, and that's in a situation he's confronted with very, very often. We have to take another quick break. We are just getting warmed up. Our conversation on real estate scams will continue right after this.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
Blue 32! Blue 32! Hut hut! It's the Gatto Gridiron Challenge. The game's on to sell 2,000 vehicles. 12 teams compete for the #1 spot. Score a great deal at every Gatto dealership. Buy with 0 down. Make no payments for 90 days. Choose from 14 of your favorite brands, all on sale. Who will make it to the end zone? You decide. Rush to a Gatto location near you or visit Gatto.com.
Gatto's got it.
I used to dread getting up and going to work.
I was done with the corporate grind.
I was tired of being a starving artist.
And I started looking around for a business that I believed in, and I kind of wanted to do something a little more green.
My SCORE mentor helped me take the first step.
He helped me create a business plan and helped me implement it.
They've really taught me how to think big.
SCORE helped me to make the unimaginable possible, all for free. I'm here because of SCORE.
I'm here because of SCORE.
Get your free business mentor at SCORE.org.
To be able to just get my son here and not think about how we will pay for it, it just takes so much weight off of my family. St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
I'll be right back. Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help. And slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
Watch Good Morning Suncoast on ABC7, weekdays starting at 5. You're watching ABC7 News at 7:30.
Welcome back, everyone. We are talking about real estate scams, and joining us for more are Laura Bowers, who works in the title department at Michael Saunders and Company, Mark Bomig, a realtor at Michael Saunders, and Rebecca Guilfoyle, a realtor at Veterans Realty. And Mark, we were talking during the break about, especially now with a hurricane bearing down on Florida, situations like that cause a lot of opportunity for misdeeds itself. Explain in terms of homes being damaged, and we're going to need our roofs fixed. What can happen?
Well, typically what happens is when there's a large area of damage, such as a heavy storm like what's coming now towards the Destin area, roofs get torn up, trees fall on houses, and contractors are out doing their best to get the clients taken care of, but then you have the unscrupulous type that go in and pretend to be the contractors. They tell them that there's such a long wait. If they want to get in line to get their roofs repaired, to get the trees removed, they need to issue a deposit, and then those people never show back up, and so now they've left and just collected a fee for not doing anything.
And I would imagine that a lot of, especially the elderly, are especially vulnerable to situations like that. Rebecca, another thing that is, I know this drives you crazy, but things can happen during open houses. And that's something that homeowners really have to be cautious about. Explain.
Well, there's safety concerns anytime you show a property, some of which would include theft of items. So we always go over a checklist for our sellers to put away and lock up specific items, your prescriptions, your valuables, things of that nature, especially if you are living in the property. So we want to make sure that those things are taken with you or locked up securely. People have a tendency to be very trusting and, okay, just go take a look and let me know how you think about the property, but that can open the door, unfortunately, for sticky fingers.
And I would imagine, again, law enforcement are probably deluged by situations like this. Often it's very hard to investigate these cases, Mark.
Well, the other thing is that you might not find out that something's missing for 2 or 3 weeks when you go to get whatever it is. I mean, it's not like when you've done having your house shown that you go back and inventory everything in your house. So sometimes it's a longer period of time before the occupants or the owners of the house know that something is actually gone, and then by that time you've probably had other people in your house, so it's very difficult to say where it actually disappeared from.
And Laura, we talked about the issues involving the wire transactions, but when you're talking about titles and so forth, what are the other big problems that you see?
In terms of fraud, you mean?
Yes.
Well, we actually had an incident back a couple years ago now. One of the primary targets for fraud in Florida is what I call it lot fraud. So the owners are absent, they live out of state, they live out of the country. Someone unscrupulous will go ahead and email Mark and say, Mark, I've got a lot that I want to sell over here on, ABC Avenue. Could you get that listed for me? All the communication is done via email, and the property is sold, and lo and behold, that wasn't the real owner of the property. And that is where title insurance is so important to have to protect the buyer from those types of fraudulent activities. A lot of people think when you do a title search you reveal everything, but fraud and forgery are one of the two major components that are covered by title insurance.
How often do people basically forego the title insurance and open themselves to this kind of fraud?
Not very often, because we, again, educate the customer as to how important it is and the types of things that it does protect them against, and it's a one-time premium that they pay that is going to protect their most valuable asset. More than likely.
I would imagine the industry and government have made some inroads in terms of certain types of fraud out there. There were situations that I used to investigate in terms of title fraud where people would forge documents and then pass them off at the clerk's office. Mark, you see that less often now?
A lot less. Besides that, the mortgage fraud has really been decreased because of all the tight government restrictions that are now in place. It used to be a saying, if you could fog a mirror, you could get a mortgage, and that was pre-2006, and it's completely stopped now.
Right. The flip side of that, Rebecca, it has made it more difficult for all of us to get mortgages because of what you have to go through to get it done. What impact has that had in terms of home buyers and home sellers in terms of really getting through the process?
Well, I'll tell you, from my experience as a local in Bradenton, I've witnessed entrepreneurs have a very difficult time. Myself, as a realtor, it's actually very difficult because you balance the ebbs and flows of your business, and you deduct certain items, and getting a loan based on your business is actually very difficult. So you've got a lot of, you want to do small town, local entrepreneurship, and you want to support local and grow the community that way. But now the hoops that you have to jump through to get these loans are very, very tough. So I've worked with a lot of first-time home buyers, and I've noticed that new construction is a little bit easier for them. I'm not sure exactly why. I'm not sure, but.
Is it because that when you're dealing with new construction, the sellers are basically these large, are the builders, they're larger companies, and they have a reason to help even first-time home buyers get through the process?
I think that's correct. I would agree with that. Yep.
One other area that we should talk about, and I've also seen this in terms of movers, when people are buying new homes and moving in, there are unscrupulous moving companies out there that basically will hold a family's belongings for hostage. Mark, how does this happen?
Well, it really is geared around them giving an estimate at first to the people who are doing the move, and then coming up with a discrepancy maybe in their original quote. Maybe they quoted them per pound rather than per room, and they say that they went over the scales and it was much higher. So in order for them to get their furniture, they're charging them an exorbitant fee over what they've quoted, maybe very well knowing that when they were loading the truck it was going to be more. And
I bring this back to the question I've been asking all along. When things like that happen, you want to call police and get immediate help, but what kind of position are police in when they respond to this?
It's very difficult for the police to get involved because depending on what the contract says from the moving company, the police would want you to maybe file a report and then take it up with an attorney. So while the people, that's exactly right, while their furniture is sitting in the back of the van, they don't have much choice but to pay the bill to get the furniture.
All right, time for final thoughts. And Laura, in terms of the wire transactions where we were talking about, what should people be aware of when they go through this process, and how could they avoid even the issue of the wire fraud we were talking about? How can we avoid that from happening in the first place?
Very simple. Get out from behind the computer and pick the telephone up, and always verbally confirm the wire instructions. That's the best practice that we've implemented now for quite some time now, to just verify everything verbally over the telephone. If you do receive an email and there's any suspicion whatsoever, just call the telephone number, not in the email, but from the official website or from the number that your real estate agent has given you to confirm that information. Just make sure that you change your passwords. Never ever rely on an email for wire instructions.
The difficulty there is that when you're buying or selling a property like that, there are so many things that are spinning around that I would imagine it's difficult for people to do all that. Rebecca, what is the one thing you want folks to walk away from this conversation with?
I would definitely say, like you said also, to do your research, and that is to compare and contrast. You can go from Zillow to Craigslist to Facebook Marketplace. You can go a Google search and go, this just doesn't seem right, to trust your instincts and to ask a professional. And that's why we're here.
And Mark, what's the one thing you want?
My one thing takeaway is never ever trust a last-minute instructions to change wiring instructions, because they do not do that.
Slow it down.
Slow it down, take your time, call and verify like Laura said, but They don't send last-minute emails asking you to change where that money is directed.
Okay, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Before we go, we want to share with you what some of you had to say about last night's show on the future of education. Democrat Andrew Gillum wants to increase spending on public education $1 billion by raising taxes on corporations and raising teacher wages to at least $50,000 a year. Republican Ron DeSantis also wants to put more money into classrooms by looking for efficiencies while also expanding school vouchers, which would help lower income students attend private schools. We went to Facebook to hear what some of you have to say about that. And Pete says, I've always supported the idea of expanding school voucher programs, which would help lower income students attend private schools. And I don't like the idea of raising taxes on businesses, so I would prefer Ron DeSantis. And Aaron says, I am glad to see Ron DeSantis wants to put more money into schools. However, I fail to see how he wants to pay for it rather than cut efficiencies. No thanks. I've been there and I know what that really means. What is Ron DeSantis' position on paying teachers more? We are currently ranked 42nd in teacher pay. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation on tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/MySuncoast. We want to thank our guests for being here tonight. Laura Bowers, who works in the title department at Michael Saunders & Company, Mark Bowmig, a realtor at Michael Saunders, and Rebecca Guilfoyle, a realtor at Veterans Realty, Inc. When we come back, our consumer watchdog, Jerry Zivick, will be here to discuss swipe fees. What's that about? Stick around.
Hello, Mom.
Amanda's mom's appointment just got rescheduled for today. Amanda needs right at home. Our customized care plan provides as much or as little help as her mom requires, whether it's a ride to the doctor or help around the house.
Oh, of course. Tom, I am really sorry. I've got to go.
Look, call right at home. Get the right care right at home.
Your last chance for 2018 Honda Accords on sale is now during our model year-end sale. Drive new Accords for just $249 a month. Get an Accord, the North American car of the year, for less than the competition. With more standard features than Camry, Honda Sensing, multi-angle camera, turbocharged engine, and more. New Accords, just $249 a month. Your last chance for Accords, all on sale this week at your local Honda dealer.
I heard about the Detoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Detoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was and some additional cancers that were not found during the biopsy. I would recommend the Detoli Cancer Center. As a group of human beings, they are unbelievably great.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
Strong storm, the trees are down and the lights are out.
No air conditioning, no refrigerator.
I get how strong the storm was, but I need my power back.
We get it. We don't just work for FPL, we're customers too.
After a storm hits, restoring power safely and as quickly as possible is our #1 priority. That's why we never stop preparing. We have the best resources in place so we can be ready to respond in good weather and bad.
Storm season is here. We're ready. Are you?
Welcome back. Did you know that every time that a viewer makes a credit card purchase, the merchant is being charged a fee by the credit card company? It's called a swipe fee. And here to discuss that and more is our own consumer watchdog, Jerry Zivick. Jerry, what are we talking about?
Well, as you said, every time that we make a charge,
the merchants are charged a fee by the credit card companies and their banks. And the merchants have been fighting this for years. Back in 2005, they filed a lawsuit because they felt that they were paying too much money to use those credit cards. And it's been an ongoing battle. At one point, they thought it was resolved, but then the appellate court said that certain companies weren't represented adequately, so it's still a battle that's going on.
Which is why I would imagine, whether it's a restaurant or some kind of store, there are sometimes minimums that that the merchant will allow you to use your card at.
Well, for sure, because it's costing them money on a $5. You see, I think it's $10 pretty much now. Everybody wants you to spend at least $10 to do that. They're spending a couple dollars just to process that small charge.
That's incredible. There, on the flip side of that, there are a lot of fees that we are being charged that we may not know at the time of a purchase. Explain some of that.
Well, actually, you have like the large retailers like Amazon, Home Depot are really pursuing these credit card companies. They want to have the right to pick the cards that they accept because they want to accept cards that charge a smaller fee. And if you accept a Visa card, you have to accept anybody's Visa, or a MasterCard, the same thing. And they want to offer incentives to have people use maybe their own card or a different card. And this has actually gone up to the Supreme Court against American Express, and the merchants lost. They said that the card companies have the right to require the merchants to take any card with a certain name on it. So this is an ongoing battle.
There's another area I want to discuss briefly, and that is cash back. I mean, it's something that's very attractive when we hear cash back on anything here, but it can also be a little bit deceiving.
Well, some cards are really good. If you say you want your cash back, they'll actually send you a check. However, they round it up or round it down, so they're always holding on to a few dollars. But a lot of cards actually just give you a credit on your bank statement, and it's the same thing. They're still holding on to a few dollars of yours. It may be just a few dollars to the consumer, but you add those few dollars up over millions of people, and they're holding on to a lot of money that they get to make money off of.
And very briefly, also annual fees.
Well, the annual fees, a lot of times you have a situation where you get a card for free and then it automatically renews, and you're stuck with these annual fees, and they add up after a while. And most people, I've seen studies that say most people don't even realize what the fees are on a card.
Wonderful. Jerry, thank you very much. Jerry Zivic joins us every other Tuesday in our For Your Benefit segment. When we return, another member of President Trump's cabinet is leaving. Why the constant turnover? But first, let's get a final check on our first alert forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Yeah, Alan, not the best news either. The intermediate advisory has come over from the National Hurricane Center just over the last 2 minutes. And yes, Michael is getting more intense and better organized. This could be definitely a Category 4 hurricane as it makes its way toward Panama City. The pressures have been dropping significantly. In fact, it's down to 953 millibars. That's a huge drop in just the last 3 hours. And whenever you have a drop like that, you're going to see an intensifying hurricane, and that's what we're seeing right now. It's going to continue on this northerly course. You can see the symmetry. It's much more organized now, and there's a lot more going on in terms of the center and the eye. Now, it could go through, again, what we call a secondary eye wall replacement before it reaches land. If it does that, then it may weaken a little bit before it hits. But for the time being, 4, not out of the question, making landfall into the panhandle of Florida. And it's going to be devastation as far as the storm surge goes. We could see a storm surge up to 12 to 14 feet high near the center and to the right of the center. In Tallahassee, could see 100-mile-an-hour winds sustained as it makes its way into that direction. Now, again, the pressure has dropped significantly. This is the last advisory, the one just updated, 953 millibars. That's a significant drop over the past several hours. And there's the forecast path and track. That hasn't changed. Looks like it'll go right into Panama City, although it could be a little bit to the left of that, or it could be a little bit to the right of that near Apalachicola. Wind gusts, I think this will be changing soon with the 11 o'clock advisory. Could be as high as 165 miles an hour. And then it makes its way right through Tallahassee or close to it. And that's the reason why I think they'll see up to 100-mile-an-hour winds there. Numerous areas will see power outages. This kind of storm with a Category 3, you're going to see extensive structural damage to some of the smaller buildings and mobile homes and so on and so forth. Numerous trees down, as well as extensive power line outages and power outages. and then it takes off toward the Carolinas. Now, it should be moving fast enough. It shouldn't be a big rainmaker, but it still will produce some pretty excessive rainfall for parts of the panhandle of Florida and to the right. We're talking up to 10 inches of rain in just a short period of time. We're still under a tropical storm watch here. We're not going to see any tropical storm force winds sustained for any long duration, but as these bands of showers move through, definitely 40, 50-mile-an-hour winds not out of the question, and I think that'll happen mainly late tonight and throughout the morning on Wednesday. Storm surge has been up to 2 feet high so far. It could get about that again at 1 o'clock in the morning. We expect another high tide, and then tomorrow afternoon when the winds will be blowing on shore at that point, that could be another significant time right there at 2:28, right around 2:30 for those tides. The tides have been running about 2 feet above average. Now we're in astronomically high tides as well, so we had, all intents and purposes, a 4-foot storm surge already in Anna Maria, causing some secondary roads to get some minor flooding there, not anything significant. But you'll see these winds, they'll switch around to the southwest, and that's when we'll start to see some piling on of the bigger waves, as well as some possibility of some coastal erosion. You know, we had those bags put up there along Lido to protect some of the renourishment there, and that could be an issue tomorrow, as we're expecting those winds to die down, though, by Thursday. So big deals going on with this storm. It continues to rapidly intensify in the Gulf of Mexico. Unfortunately for the panhandle of Florida, they're going to see some intense wind beginning tomorrow, especially just after sunrise. We've had flooding problems and some concerns. Some of the water washing over the roadways. I know I had some reports along Riverview Boulevard in Bradenton near, looks like a 59th Street boat ramp. They had some of the water washing over the roadway there. So driving not the best of things to do right now. And look at this line here moving through Fort Myers now, and that's heading in our general direction. I also want to get to a graphic real quickly and show you that we have 3 storms out there, 3 named storms. We have Leslie, has been around for over 14 days. We have a new Nadine, and now the National Hurricane Center is watching an area right here, which gives it a 30% chance of developing over the next 5 days in the Southwest Caribbean Sea. So a very active hurricane season, especially here in October. Here's the forecast, and an 80% chance for scattered showers and storms on Wednesday. Wednesday night, too, we'll still see some rainfall moving in from the Gulf. Thursday morning, a few showers and storms around, and then we deserve a good weekend, and we'll have that. Unfortunately, the Panhandle will be still recovering. We'll have much more with Primetime Headlines with Alan right after this.
Blue 32, hot, hot. It's the Gettle Gridiron Challenge. The game's on to sell 2,000 vehicles. 12 teams compete for the #1 spot. Score a great deal at every Gettle dealership. Buy with 0 down. Make no payments for 90 days. Choose from 14 of your favorite brands, all on sale. Who will make it to the end zone? You decide. Rush to a Gettle location near you or visit Gettle.com.
Gettle's got it. Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Make your holidays sparkle with style. Browse our amazing showroom, cute collectible cottages, and beautiful Christmas displays. Find the inspiration, selection, and quality you need to deck the halls merry and bright. Christmas Traditions also features the area's largest selection of quality pre-lit Christmas trees, every size, shape, and color, and plenty of decorations to make your home shine for the holidays. Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Visit us on New 301, just a quarter-mile north of University Parkway.
At Humana, we believe great things are ahead of you when you start with healthy. And part of staying healthy means choosing the right Medicare plan. Humana can help. With Original Medicare, you're covered for hospital stays and doctor office visits when you're sick, but keep in mind you'll have to pay a deductible for each. A Medicare supplement plan can cover your deductibles and coinsurance, but you may pay higher premiums than you do with other plans. And prescription drug coverage isn't included. But with an all-in-one Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you could get all that coverage plus Part D prescription drug benefits. You get all this coverage for a $0 monthly plan premium in most areas, and Humana has a large network of doctors and hospitals. So call or go online today. Find out if your doctor is part of the Humana network and get your free decision guide. Discover how an all-in-one Medicare Advantage plan from Humana could save you money. There is no obligation and the book is free.
Recovery from mental and substance use disorders is real.
You can recover.
It's possible. It happens every day.
Never give up on yourself.
Discover hope and help.
I thought I was too far gone. I wasn't.
Join the Voices for Recovery.
The world is a beautiful place again.
For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral for mental and substance use disorders for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining. Find out first at 4 with ABC7 News at 4, weekdays on ABC7.
Checking primetime headlines, President Trump has another cabinet position to fill. United Nations Ambassador Nikki Haley, who resigned today. ABC's Karen Travers has more from the White House.
As U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley played a key role in President Trump's foreign policy agenda. Her announcement that she is leaving that position came as a big shock here in Washington. A surprise announcement. Nikki Haley stepping down at the end of the year as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations.
She's done an incredible job.
Well, there's no personal reasons. I think that it's just very important for government officials to understand when it's time to step aside.
Haley was considered one of the most trusted members of the Trump administration. Fiercely loyal to the president, she was a strong defender of his foreign policy agenda. But she also showed her independence, especially with her tough stance on Russia, making her stand out among her fellow cabinet members. At the UN, Haley successfully pushed through 3 rounds of tough sanctions on North Korea with the backing of China and Russia. She played a key role in the president's decision to withdraw the U.S. from the Iran nuclear agreement and pushed a tough message on Syria and the Assad regime's use of chemical weapons.
It was a blessing to go into the UN with body armor every day and defend America.
As for her next move, Haley told reporters that serving as governor of South Carolina for 6 years and then shifting into the UN was a lot. But she did rule out challenging President Trump in 2 years.
No, I'm not running for 2020. I can promise you what I'll be doing is campaigning for this one. So I look forward to supporting the president.
President Trump would not say who he is considering to replace Nikki Haley at the UN, but said he would announce her successor in the next few weeks. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.